I need to ask your advice on something again. So I have this bowl, but I feel like I can do better. I feel like I should go bigger, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I have this one bigger.
A little better.
This one.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's a megabyte bowl right there.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Let's Get Cereal, the weekly show where I, your host, Alyssa Marino, eat cereal, talk about stuff, and sometimes talk to people. I have a very interesting people today. Pro wrestler, U.S. Army vet, and competitive eater, Megabyte Ronnie. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I am just delightful. Thank you so much for doing the show today. So, as the name would suggest, the show is all about eating cereal, and I know it's something that you're pretty well versed in. So I wanted to see what cereal you have brought to the literal table today.
Well, funny story. So when I was going to come on this show, I had a cereal in mind. And then I went to the store and I saw another box of cereal and I said, okay, this is the one. And I brought that box of cereal home yesterday and I ate the entire box. So I had to go back to the store today and I got the original box. So we're gonna go with one of my favorites, chocolate Lucky Charms.
Classic. I felt like I really needed to up the ante on my cereal game and on my cereal quantity game, considering that I was going to be eating cereal with a competitive eater. So I got this. Drum roll, please. I got giant size Captain Crunch.
Heck yeah.
I don't know if you might provide any tips or tricks to help me get through this box. I don't think I'm going to make a dent in it, but I'm going to do my darndest.
So you're going to try to get through that whole box, huh?
I am not even going to try, but if I were, what would be maybe some of your advice that you would give me?
My advice would be to go light on the milk if you can, because you don't want to, use up too much of your capacity. And my other piece of advice would be to try to get as much down in 3 minutes as you can before your body has time to react and say, hey, wait a second, this is a lot of food.
Huh. Okay, so there is actually, it seems like quite a strategy to this. So I think we should get into our bowls of cereal so we can start eating and then we'll continue to chat. I think something too that's great about cereal is it just reminds me of being a kid, So what were you like as a little kid?
I was actually kind of a little bit of a dork. I was a huge video game player, and just pretty much I lived on cereal. When I was a kid, I would say Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles were always in my, on my morning cereal list, and I've just been a huge cereal fan my whole life.
Oh heck yeah, that makes me so happy to hear. But now I need to ask your advice on something again. So I have this bowl, but I feel like I can do better. I feel like I should go bigger, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I have this one bigger.
A little better.
This one.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's a megabyte bowl right there.
That's okay. Well, in the spirit of Megabyte Ronnie, here's my Megabyte bowl.
I want to show you my hidden trick here, what I like to do with cereal.
Yes.
I like to add a scoop of protein powder in a cereal. See, this helps with the gains.
Perfect with the gains. But if you were to be competitively eating, wouldn't you not want that because that would be something that would fill you up?
No. If I was competitively eating, protein is kind of like one of the most filling macronutrients, so I would stick away from the protein.
Good to know, good to know. Oh, and I see we're both almond milk fans. Delightful.
Definitely, always almond milk.
Heck yes.
Someone explained to me that humans are the only animals that drink the milk of another animal, and it killed milk for me.
It's so true and so weirdly correct. I know. All right, my friend, as we get into this episode, let's do it properly, and let's get a proper cheers. My friend, Megabyte Ronnie. Let's get cereal. Cheers. Exquisite. Now, I assure people, and sometimes they don't take me up on this, but totally feel free to talk with your mouth full. Like, let's just have fun. It's a safe space. So,
okay.
So now, how did you end up breaking into the world of competitive eating?
Well, honestly, a lot of people, so I was in the Army, a lot of people, when they deploy to Afghanistan or Iraq, they have about a year's notice. Well, I got a 2 weeks notice. So I had 2 weeks to get ready to prepare to go to war. And one of my big bucket list things was to try one of those man versus food challenges that I always saw on TV. So I found a restaurant in Savannah, Georgia, with a 3-pound burger and a pound of fries. And if you could eat it in 30 minutes, you get it free. And I killed it in like 17 minutes. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something there. So while I was deployed to Afghanistan, I thought about it all the time. And one of my cooks suggested to me, they were like, hey, you ever seen that hot dog eating contest on ESPN? I was like, I have. And they were like, you should try to do that. And I was like, all right, bet. So when I got back from Afghanistan, 2 weeks after I got back, I did my first major league eating contest. They signed me to a contract, and here we are, like 8 years later. I'm still eating. Dang,
8 years later, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 18th ranked, like best stomach in the world. Wow.
Yeah.
And this is incredible because, so obviously we were talking about how much you love cereal, and last year you embarked upon a mission, and it was 1 gallon of milk and 3 boxes of cereal. You set 2 world records with the 2 fastest bowls of cereal eaten by a human being. I think that deserves like really special recognition, especially in my book. So, extra congratulations on that. And then I saw also of course, honored by Erie County in the state of New York for competitively eating as well. There are so many of these cool accolades and things that you've achieved, not to mention the fact that how many hot dogs have you eaten at this point? I know it's like in the hundreds.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. It's close to 300. I know that.
Because I was going to say, we'll roll back the tape on your match at Pro Wrestling Explosion where you faced Hot Dog Stars. Yeah. I know we talked about it there, so we'll definitely have to catch back up on that. But obviously, this is probably a loaded question, but with all of these different feats and achievements, how do you go about even achieving that? Like, what goes into being the 18th ranked stomach in the world?
You know what? I think it's a lot of, especially with like anything at that level, I think it's a lot of just natural ability. I think, not everybody was born with the ability to eat that much food. And I, like everybody else who's at the top level of the sport, I train for that. I don't just roll into these contests. I just don't wake up out of bed and eat breakfast and then go to these contests. It takes some training. It takes some preparation for, and I don't put as much into it as Joey Chestnut and stuff like that. But to be 18th best in the world, I do have to put a lot of effort into it. It's no piece of cake.
I'm sure. I see what you did there. I'm sure that it's more discipline than I think people would realize. But that being said, with all of the different challenges you've done, has there been any particular food or challenge that's been kind of your most formidable foe?
Yeah, I did a hard-boiled egg eating contest back in 2014. And here's the kicker. I was still in the Army, and this contest was about 16 hours away from where I was stationed. So I did this contest on a Saturday night, and then I had to hit the road to get back to my base before, work Monday morning. So as soon as I finished eating somewhere I think it was 58 hard-boiled eggs, I had to hop in a car and drive 16 hours. And I drove the entire way with all 4 windows down. And it was just not, it was not a great time. I'll tell you that.
Not a good time.
Yeah.
So in the competitive eating world, I was hoping you could help shed some light on this for me. So does competitive eating solely really refer to consuming large quantities under certain time limits, or would you also factor in different challenges that deal with endurance feats, like eating super spicy things.
Yeah, I think for me, when I think of competitive eating, I think of people trying to eat as much as they can in a time limit. I do know that people do the spicy challenges, and that's pretty popular. And I think that's equally difficult. I did hot ones, and I cried. Like it's not fun. I'm not good with hot foods. I don't know, but I don't think about that as so much as a sport as like a mental hurdle or like a self thing. You're getting past your own limitations, but I don't think of that as like a sport, so to say.
No, that's fair, because I feel like there is a certain amount of what's the word, like a psychological factor in eating something spicy. Yeah, totally. Okay. Definitely. I did the one chip challenge. I did not think I was going to see the next morning. Like it was that bad. It was really rough.
I like some spice, but I don't want anything that's gonna hurt me, man. Like I want to feel it, but like don't kill me.
Right. Like I want to enjoy the food I'm eating, but for the most part. But speaking of spice, I did see you on the Hot Ones, the game show. I also saw you on Hot Ones at Home last year, teaming up with the American Nightmare himself, Cody Rhodes. You guys were a pretty formidable team. That was pretty exciting. You did pretty well together. What was that experience like? Because it seemed like it was a surprise that he was your teammate. Oh yeah,
it's funny. It's actually a good story. So they reached out to me and they were like, "Hey Ronnie, we're doing this redemption tour with people who didn't win, and we're gonna pair you up with a celebrity." And we were just wondering, what kind of celebrities do you know? And I replied back and I said, "Guys, I'm not good with pop culture. I really only know wrestling and video games." And they were like, "All right, well, have you seen it's a comedy show where four guys like pull gags on each other nonstop.
Impractical Jokers."
Yes. They were like, "Have you seen Impractical Jokers?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Well, you should start watching it." And I was like, "Okay." So I thought I was gonna get one of their Practical Jokers, right? I watched Impractical Jokers nonstop for a week, getting ready for an Impractical Joker to be my teammate, and boom, Cody Rhodes.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys see the look on your face? You're like, wait, what? So that's awesome. That was a very, very cool surprise. So that leads me into the question of, where does wrestling come into play in your journey?
Wrestling was my number one love. Like when I was like 3 or 4 years old, I saw it on TV. I fell in love with it instantly. I've been a fan of it on and off my entire life, and always said I wanted to do it. And as a matter of fact, like low key, when I was 18 years old, joining the Army, I was like, well, if I want to be a wrestler, I got to get in shape, and the Army will kind of force me to get in shape. So I got out of the Army at 25, and I was supposed to go train at Lance Storm's school, and I kind of got cold feet, and I backed out at the last minute, and my life just kind of took a nosedive from 25 to 29. I kind of I wasn't doing very well. But at 29, I was like, the hell with this, YOLO, as they say, and I'm going to do this. So I moved up to Buffalo on a whim, started training, and here we are at 32, 3 years later, and things are going good. They could be better, but they're going good. I get to do what I love, and I'm having a blast.
And I think too, considering the sideways turn that everyone took in the past year and some change, I would say that's pretty excellent. I think we all got thrown some curveballs over the past year, and so I'm very glad to see that you got into training. And I got to see one of your matches in person at Pro Wrestling Explosion, which was pretty intense. There was a feud between you and the hot dog that got away. It was so enjoyable. What a match. So where does kind of your strategy for preparing for competitive eating differ from training for a match in the ring?
I would say with competitive eating, it's more of like a mental hurdle, right? So in order to get ready for an eating contest, I've got to stretch my stomach out. And I do this by eating a large quantity of broccoli or cauliflower. I use low-calorie foods because my other job, I have to look good in a Speedo. So, I eat a ton of low-calorie food. Yeah. So I, that's like a mental hurdle where your mind's telling you no, and you're saying, well, shut up, mind, I'm going to keep going anyways. I think with wrestling, and another thing with competitive eating is like it's all on me, right? It's just me. I think about it at a table, it's just me versus food. I don't care what the other people are doing. It's just me versus this food. In wrestling, you got a dance partner, so it's more of a, more of a like storytelling and choreography, and it's more of a dance. It's more of a teamwork and team dynamic. It's competitive eating is more of a solo thing, and I like both equally because I'm a competitive person, so I need competitive eating in my life to get on a stage where I feel like I'm one of the best people in the world at something and compete at the highest level as I can. And whether I win or lose is all up to, how much effort I put into it. And then in wrestling, I really don't get to decide how much I get to win or lose. So I just, I need eating to kind of balance that out for myself.
It's true. And I feel like in a way it has to be good to know that when it comes to competitive eating, you're in charge of your success. It's not in anyone's hands but yours. So, okay, I feel that. Yeah. So now, is this, I have to ask, is this the slowest you've ever eaten a bowl of cereal?
Yeah, most definitely. I was just thinking that, like, I'm almost through, but I was trying to look at the timer on our meeting. I was like, how long have I been eating this bowl of cereal? And I couldn't find it. So it's starting to get soggy, which it doesn't really get soggy for me too often.
And that was another thing about your cereal eating video, which I'm going to link people to because it's incredible. You in the video said that you are not a soggy cereal person, and thank you. I definitely connect with that statement. So for sure.
What's the point, man? It's just like, you got to have the crunch. Right.
If not, I would just make oatmeal.
Exactly.
Thank you. When it comes to just eating on a normal basis, do you feel like you ever are considering timing or anything like that? Or are you able to just like turn off and enjoy a normal meal from time to time?
No, it takes a lot for me to, I'm 245 pounds and it's hard for me to like stay there. Right. So I already weigh a lot. So, but like, for example, when me and my wife are going out to eat, she makes me eat at the house before we go out to eat. So I don't order, like a lot of food. Or when we go and eat at her family's house, like when we went to her family's for Thanksgiving, I literally ate a Thanksgiving meal at my house before I went to their families for Thanksgiving. So I didn't eat all the food. So yeah.
It's cool though that your wife knows to prepare that way. Just to, to have the bases covered. That's important. That's a good lady. She was actually on Hot Ones with you when you guys were engaged, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So it's cool to have that support from loved ones in your life, even if you are eating everyone out of house and home. That's fine. Yeah. So now, what is coming up next for you, whether it be wrestling or competitive eating? What is next on the agenda of Megabyte Ronnie?
It's funny. I don't think I have a whole lot. I'm going through a transition period right now. I just sold my house, and I'm having to move down to North Carolina for a bit. So basically, what's happening is that Ashley my wife is finishing up her Army training. So she's going to be done with that in 2 months, and we're going to be stationed wherever the Army sends her, right? I kind of turned down a lot of bookings in this time because I didn't know when and what, when I'm leaving Buffalo. I didn't know where I was going and stuff like that. So really, I'm going to be freelancing. I'm going to be trying to get anywhere I can, in the Southeast over the next 2 months because I've not lived down there and I've never gotten to wrestle. My big goal over these next 2 months is to wrestle and my mom can see it. She's never seen me wrestle live. So that's kind of like, I'm going to do whatever I can to wrestle somewhere in North Carolina. That's the goal over the next 2 months. Yeah. And as far as eating goes, it's kind of like the off season of eating because it's getting cold. A lot of contests are outside. So I'm kind of taking a break. I may even go on a little diet over the next 3 or 4 months and try to, lose some weight for the next season. So we'll see. But I'm excited to get back into that once it warms up again next year.
In food terms, the world is your oyster. I don't know if you've ever competitively eaten oysters, but
No, there is a competitive eating oyster contest, and I've never done it because I'm just not. I don't know if I could handle it, man. Like the winner of that contest eats I think 62 dozen oysters. And I feel like after about 30 of them, I'd just get tired of that taste. Like I couldn't take it,
Oh my goodness. It's a texture thing for me. I don't really eat seafood or anything like that, but still, I remember even scallops I thought were gross. Shrimp. Ugh. crust.
Yeah, I'm not a big seafood person either. On top of that, yeah.
So there's, I'm sure, a degree of picking and choosing which competitive eating quests you embark upon.
Now there is. When I was a rookie, I was eating everything under the sun, but now I kind of pick the ones I like.
Good stuff. It's good to be able to have your cake and eat it too.
Oh yeah, I love to have my cake and eat it too.
Well, Ronnie, this has been so much fun. I'm glad that we got to connect. I'm glad I got to pick your brain, and bottoms up to you, my friend. I am going to be working on this box of cereal for a very long time. And I will probably follow up with you once this episode airs and let you know where I'm at with it. Probably not going to be much.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Good luck with that. You know, Captain Crunch is one of those ones where I don't like to, if I have a box of Captain Crunch, I don't eat that cereal like on back-to-back days because it does some damage to your mouth. If you start eating like 3 bowls of that, it destroys you.
You know, I was impressed with your way you handled the Cookie Crisp in your episode, because that's also, you know, pretty sharp at times. So.
Oh, the top of my mouth was on fire after that video. I'll
Man.
tell you that. Yeah.
Oh, and the jaw fatigue. It's a thing. All things we need to consider. This has been so much fun, and thank you again for being on the show. My friends, I'm going to be posting the links below for where you can follow Megabyte Ronnie on his journey and learn more about him and his competitive eating, pro wrestling, and everything. So, until next time, my friends, continue to do your best to be your best. And we will see you later.
Put it in and put it down.